Today I get to talk about an exciting topic. Unlike yesterday with compliance, I get to talk about asset protection. So, yes, how can I protect my assets? That's right. That's what we're going to do today. Now, the irony of this is that I spoke 4 months ago about this, and a lot of you said, we're all excited and didn't do anything. So I'm hopeful today that you can actually take my call to action and do something. So we're going to talk about asset protection. Asset protection, what I look at, has to go into 3 different categories. And I don't know if my clicker's not working. Is it changing? Is it changing slides? Ah, there we go. Okay. Woo. We got one thing going right this morning. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day. So asset protection is going to go into what I consider 3 different buckets. The first is what you're all doing, what I'm doing, trying to accumulate assets, trying to build up my net worth, trying to save and apply all the principles that you learn in the core products, trying to build up your estate. The second part of that is that there are minions out there that want to take your estate. They want to come and take it, whether that's the big bad government through the IRS that wants to take your tax money, or if that's some private individual that wants to sue you to take your money through a lawsuit. So we have to learn how to preserve our assets through asset protection. The last thing that gets left off the table most often when I talk to clients is that they forget to do an asset transfer. They have nothing in place to be able to transfer their assets if something were to happen to them, that they were either incapable to care for themselves or that they were dead. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're going to go through this one by one, and we're going to go through all this. And I'm going to tell lots of stories. So first off, I'm going to talk about businesses and asset protection. I'm going to let all the specialists, the Peter Oyos in the world and the Darren Dowds in the world get up here and talk about how to build up your net worth, and I'm going to talk about how to protect it, okay? So yes, arr, arr, arr. Let's do it. The pirate voice is going to come out today, I promise. Yes, arr. Ah, see, I got some pirates here already. So Halloween's 10 days away, folks. I've got to practice, right? I mean... the Canadian on the front row is heckling me. All I have to do is say, it's the Canadian on the front row heckling me. Oh my gosh. That's right. So there are 22.5 million individuals in the United States that operate as sole practitioners. And I've probably shared this with you before. But can you imagine what the benefit of operating as a sole practitioner in the United States is? Nothing. You get zero benefit, zero protection. So you're basically out there with your kimono wide open. You're out there exposing yourself to the world. Or my Scottish ancestors would say, your kilt's a little high, so they can see the whole package. And you don't want to do that. So we want to put something into place that's going to protect that. We're going to do something. So there are several ways you can protect that are much more advantageous than being a sole practitioner. And unfortunately, yesterday I had an opportunity to talk to a few of you back at the table for Corporate Service Pro. And some people are like, hey, I just started this new business opportunity. I'm out there and I'm doing this. I'm doing Tranont and I'm doing this other things. And everything's in my own name. Screw it. So we're going to talk about some way to undevelop that. Come on, clicker. There we go. Okay. So there are a couple of entity structures that if you've talked to me before, or if you've been to one of my presentations before, that I talk about. Mainly, I talk about corporations or limited liability companies if you're in the United States. Now, if you're in Canada, we talk about LTDs, and I'll go into that on a one-on-one basis with Canadians. With the corporations, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to build a shield of protection, of liability, so that if somebody sues you for going out and doing business, they're blocked at your business assets. They can't go after your personal assets. So I keep that shield in front of me, just like a knight in shining armor, to be able to protect my assets in case somebody wants to come after me. And unfortunately, folks, lawsuits happen all the time. I mean, even I get threatened with lawsuits as an attorney. And so you've got to make sure that you've got something there to protect you so that you don't work so hard for all these assets and then some imbecile comes in and sues you and tries to take it all. So we want to make sure to do that. So a corporation gives you a benefit. It gives you a shield of liability. It also gives you advanced tax benefits as well. One of the best tax benefits you have is if you apply for an election in the United States called an S election. Now, don't get all confused with that. It's a corporation that's taxed as an S, a small corporation, right? What that gives you is it gives you this protection, the shield of liability, but it also gives you a tax benefit with the IRS because any of your active income that comes through that business, you can pay yourself as a distribution that's not taxed as a self-employment tax rate. What that means in the United States is the self-employment tax rate now is 15.3%. So you save, if you do this, 15.3% of your money up to a certain percentage. So if I make, that's pretty good, instead of just paying it all to the government. So what happens is if I make $100,000 and I take a $50,000 distribution, I save 15.3% on that for that year. So about, pretty close to a little over $10,000 or a little over $6,000 or $7,000, $7,500. I'm not the mathematician, I'm sorry, but it saves you about $7,500 to do that one election alone. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you set yourself up like that? Instead, if I'm just, hey, I'm a Tranont associate and I get paid as an individual and they just pay me and then I just take it out and then comes tax time and I give it over to Corporate Service Pro and they do the taxes and they're like, okay, you got to pay self-employment tax because you're a sole proprietorship. Very good job. Very good job. Good job. Just do this. So instead of that, we have the S corporation election. And we've talked a lot about that. Now, the way I use this is I use my S corporation as a parent company. How many of you out there do multiple businesses? Yeah, most of you, right? I do multiple businesses. I don't just own a law firm. I have Corporate Service Pro I have a portion of membership in. I have other businesses that I do, a fulfillment company that I do. So parent company, which is an S corporation, multiple LLCs that are owned by my S corporation. Why do I do that? One of the reasons I do that is so that if somebody sues one of my LLCs down here, they can't get to my parent company up here. Or if this entity gets sued, they don't get to my other entities. I silo liability. But then everything flows up nicely. I have one corporate return that I file at the end of the year, that I file my election for S corporation, and then I go. So I file one corporate return and one personal return. So I'm not paying accountants a ton of money, or Corporate Service Pro a ton of money, to go through and do my taxes. Now, one of the nice things of the core packages is you get some of that. You get taxes when you're a part of Tranont for a certain portion of time, 6 months. You get taxes included with that. And so this is all part of the package we want you to look at. Now, for you all, clicker, am I not doing? There we go. There are two sections that you need to particularly look at, okay? Section 709B, and this is for the U.S., this is the Internal Revenue Code, and Section 195B. When you first start a business for the first year, you get free money. Oh, sorry. The IRS has little Easter eggs for you, right? And one of those Easter eggs is you get $5,000 of deductible expense for operating costs and another $5,000 expense for startup costs. So $10,000 in the first year you set up your business that you can just deduct. And it's an Easter egg. It's just a little nugget that's laying out there for you that most of you are not aware of. So when you set up a business, you can do that. When you go as a sole practitioner, you don't get those. So these are benefits. Okay, so I'm kind of flying through the entity section because I really want to get to the estate planning section, but let me you understand this. If you came off the street to my law firm, I would charge you over $1,000 for an entity. But because you're all Tranont associates, we charge $299 plus state filing fees, okay? That's pretty good. I'm going to show you how good that is in this next slide. You're like, that's $299. I'm like, these guys bend me over to get that down that low. I mean, I'm barely feeding. I got 8 kids. I mean, this is just barely making it by. So $299 plus state filing fees. And you get this. You get protection, and you get to save taxes and a whole bunch of stuff. But if you want to use my competitors or the people out there, oh, okay, there we go. You can, look at this. Corporate Service Pro is the one in green. It's the big line that's over there. Look at all the things you get like that. 7-day turnaround for entity setup for $299. You want to use LegalZoom, $149, but you don't get, it's 30 days out. If you want to use really what happens, if you want your EIN or you want your operating agreement or anything like that, you're basically going to pay about $600. And if you use any incorporate.com, I love listening to like XM radio, and then, save yourself in 10 minutes, get a free book at incorporate.com. And so you call them up, and I call them up, and I was like, because I wanted to see what they really offered. They're like, you can do it. It's $10. Just call us up. And so I called them up, and it wasn't $99. It wasn't $389. It was $670. That was just for their fee. That wasn't the state filing fee. So behind this door, you get this. Behind this door, you really get this. So we're telling you the truth. It's $299 plus state filing fee, and we'll take care of that. And at the end of the slides today, if I get this to work right, we're going to be able to help you know how to do this. More services, lower costs, plus free business tax filing on your first year for associates after 6 months. So if you want to do this, come on, slide. You can text LLC to 801-447-1664. You can also come back and talk to me today. I'm going to be sitting at the Corporate Service Pro table today, so I can talk to you all about this as well. So, legal services, I'm going to really briefly go through. Part of your core package is you get access to our legal services. So, if you have all sorts of awesome, crazy questions about your crazy ex-wife or your business partner that's cheated you out of your dog, or something that comes up, you can call us and you can ask us what it is. And if we can't handle that here, then we'll refer you to an attorney in your local jurisdiction to help you with that. There's probably several of you that have utilized this service already in the audience, and we try to do our best on that. We've got it all set up, and we've helped people save a lot of money, and we've helped people get out of a lot of things. So if you need to do that, it's pretty simple. You go to corporateservicepro.com. There's an intake form. You fill it out. If we'll assess it internally, and if we can handle it, we'll take care of it. If we can't, we'll take it to a referral partner, and we'll take care of that for you. Okay, let's get into my favorite part. Okay. No, I went too far. No. Go back. Baby, come back. Any kind of fool can see I was wrong, and I just can't live without you. Okay, there we go. Okay. Sometimes I sing too. That's right. Woo! Okay, estate planning. And now this is my pet, is estate planning. I love asset protection because I like to save money and I want to protect you. But estate planning is where it's at for me, okay? Because there's too many stories of people that have come to me that they have failed to do this and they failed to set up their family. And my wife, she got sick last night, so she took the baby home, and I was going to bring the baby out today. He's 8 weeks, not 8 months. Oh gosh, 8 weeks old. And so little Jameson, middle name's James, son's Jameson, son of James. So pretty cool. And I wanted to be out here because he'd be my little. She took him home, so I'm sorry. But he is my motivation for estate planning, because if you have children, whether they're adults or they're little kids, and you don't have your estate plan in place, you're negligent parents. Shame on you. Tisk tisk, okay? Because if you don't have a plan set up for them, what happens? I've shared several stories in the past about clients that have come to me for one reason or another, but there was a family that came to me about a year and a half ago, and their neighbors had died in a plane crash. And we just had the same thing happen just in Idaho about 2 or 3 months ago. And some of you from Idaho know about the story. The family had taken off and they crashed 4 adults, and they left all these kids behind. And so this family comes to me and they want to talk to me about estate planning. They're like, hey, this is our neighbors. They died in this plane crash. And when they died, they had 3 kids aboard, and 2 teenagers died, and they had a 5-year-old in the back seat. I have a 5-year-old, so I can relate to this. And the 5-year-old lived. And so no estate plan in place. And so these guys are telling me, why they've come to me. And the reason they've come to me is because this family is gone, and this 5-year-old is now left without where he's going to go. Is he going to go live with this grandparent or this cousin? And so instead of focusing on what the most tragic moment of their lives and mourning their parents, this kid's, where am I going to live? And why would you do that? Now, I understand a lot of you have adult kids, and they probably live in your basement. So they're going to ask the same thing, right? Where am I going to live? And so you got to take care of them too. No, all serious. Even adult children, though, you got to make sure you take care of that, because otherwise you end up like my aunts, which my mom's not here, so she's not going to get mad at me for sharing this story. My grandma died in 1976. She died of a heart attack. She was only 59 years old. She had a pristine Ford Ranchero station wagon. Yes, with the wood panels on the side, vacation style. Yes, yes. So my two aunts fought over that car. I can't imagine in 1976 that car was worth more than $3,000. But they didn't speak for 3 years because my grandma didn't have an estate plan. She didn't have a will or a trust or anything put in place. And so why? You think, oh, it's trivial. I don't have a lot in my estate. But a Ford Ranchero station wagon divided a family for several years. And so it doesn't take much. And I could go on. I mean, I love telling stories because it's story after story after story. And if you think that you hear these little advertisements, hey, come get an estate plan from us for $9.99 or like $19.99, Earl Shive paint job, it's not all the same. There's not a single estate plan that I've done that's exactly the same. They're all different. And they're going to be catered, and the way that we do it is we cater it to you. So let's go through this. If I can get there we go. I'm skipping a little bit because I want to get to, there are 4 major documents that are involved with an estate plan that we do. The first you've probably heard most about, and that's a will, right? And you think everybody would have a basic will. What does a will do? It transfers assets to people you decide instead of the government decides. So you get to name what's called a beneficiary, an heir. You get to say, this is where I want this to go. 80% of the United States they did a survey, 80% of Americans, adult Americans in the United States do not have even a basic will. And I would probably guess if I had most of you raise your hand, you don't have that could be true to the audience here today as well, that you don't have an active, up-to-date will. It would surprise you how many clients come to me, and I've seen them, they're like, oh, I've got my will. I've drafted in 1982 when my kids were 4, 5, and 6, and now they're in their 30s. And 40s. And it's like, that's not going to help you. You got to revamp that. You got to redo that. So a will help you designate where your stuff goes. But what a will doesn't do is in the United States, it doesn't avoid probate. So a probate is the process where you actually go and administer. And I could ask you, anybody love probate? Anybody gone through probate? And like, yeah, this is my favorite thing to do. It's terrible. It's awful. It's like getting your teeth pulled by a nun on Sunday. You're getting a little flat, so I got to throw something out to get you going. So probate is like this terrible process. You have to apply, and you have to go in front of the court, and you have to get them to come and help you disperse the assets, even in a will. So in the late 1980s, attorneys decided that we'd be smart about this and be very helpful for our clients. Instead of charging them twice, once for a will and then once to probate, we would do something called a trust. And a trust is a non-probatable instrument. So when we use a trust, we don't have to go to probate. And we can go through, we can put all of our assets in there, and we can go forward, and we don't have to do probate if we fund it right. So a lot of attorneys will help you set up a trust. They won't help you fund it. We help you fund it. What does that mean? Put your assets into it. So I had a client this summer. Husband died unexpectedly. We did a whole estate plan for her. We had it all ready. I told her we got to fund it. We did quitclaim deeds to transfer her property into it. Guess what? Property was in her husband's name only. They had signed the quitclaim deeds to transfer the property. They never recorded them. So she calls me up and she's like, whoa, this is wrong. You've done something wrong. It's like, I can lead you to water. I can't lead you to drink. I mean, I did everything for you. All you have to do is record this, and you didn't do it. And the reason is exactly what she went through. She had these 2 assets. They were in her husband's name. She had to go and probate it. So we had this nice Cadillac we had drafted for her. We had the nice transfer documents all drafted for her, but she didn't finish the process. So we'll help you do that. That's an important part of this step, is doing that. So there we go. 2 other documents we're going to draft for you is a living will. So, and if you're part of Tranont for a certain part of time, you actually, after I think 90 days or whatever, you get a living will if you want a living will. I think the whole package is necessary. When clients call me and like, how many times have you just done a living will for somebody? And it's like, probably on one hand I can count this. But a living will is a really important document. In case you go out and you get in a car accident, hopefully this does not happen. You get in a car accident, you're in a coma, and what are they going to do? Doctor says, pull the plug. Spouse says, keep you on. What is your desire? What do you want to happen? A living will help designate that. What do you want to happen in a life or death situation? This document will help you distinguish that before it happens. So it's an important document. The last document we do, is called a power of attorney, healthcare directive. Now, a power of attorney is important. My aunt died 10 years ago. When she died, she was on Social Security. That Social Security was supposed to pay for some of the benefits she had pulmonary fibrosis. And so when she died, there were some medical bills. Social Security was supposed to pay for that. Guess what? When she died, 30 days later, they cut it off without paying it. My uncle's like, oh, what do I do? Well, they had a power of attorney healthcare directive. He had not had this, he couldn't even get the benefits for that. So the benefits while she was sick, unable to care for herself, and then afterwards. So it's difficult to gain access to medical records when you're caring for somebody. So the power of attorney allows you, it springs into action when somebody becomes incapacitated, and then it comes into play to allow somebody to come in and care for them when they can't do it themselves. If you regain capacity, it goes away. You lose capacity again, it comes back. I'm like that every morning with my kids. I lose capacity, and then I come back to sanity, and then they do something else, and I go crazy. So, all right. You can also sell jointly titled property. Had this person that I talked about, before her husband had died, he had lost capacity, she could have used that power of attorney to transfer property before he had died. You can also file tax returns, which are super hard to do if you've got somebody that's incapable to sign something. You don't want to go into court and have to get appointed a guardianship. And you can receive insurance benefits, is what I talked about with my aunt and uncle. Okay, so drum roll. What does estate planning cost you here? $20,000. No, today only, we're gonna go down. No, I'm not gonna do that for you. $14.95. So if you come to me off the street, $3,000 is what I charge you. You can look around. If you're in California, you're gonna pay $5,000. If you're in New York, you're gonna pay more than that. I know that there are people within the company that have paid tens of thousands of dollars for estate plans. Here at Tranont, $14.95. Again, woo, yay, woo, ah. They're bending me over. I've got to feed my family, but they want you to get it so low that I can't even live. Okay, but no, really, I would charge you $3,000 if you came to me, and it's half price for this. Here again, you can text TRUST 801-447-1664. Now, the key with this again is take action. Last convention, everybody was so excited, and let's go and do this, set up our business and get our trusts all taken care of. And then flat. We call them back, it's like, oh, I didn't do it. How many of you were excited and then didn't do it, and then you're still in the same place you were last time? Scary. So please take advantage of this and come and see me. So I'm going to be at the back table this afternoon, and we're going to be ready to answer your questions and take care of you. And I think they're going to yank me off the stage because I'm a minute over. But I love you guys so much. I want to stay all day. So thanks for your time.